You're about to make a trade. Which you do you listen to? Is it get optioning those options? Or let's do a little research. Learn more at finra.org/trade-smart.
If you could pick one thing that you enjoy most about what you do, what would that be and why?
I like plastic surgery because it gets people back to the optimal self, whether it be an athlete that breathes a little bit better after they broke their nose and they didn't even know they could breathe better. A poor woman who had a surgery that wasn't up to her expectations and she's got a body that she's worse off now than she was. So fixing that type of thing is even better. The bullying procedures, the guys and girls that come in, they look in the mirror and when they see the result, they're crying. They're so happy.
Sharp French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time. I confirmed it. A whole society determined.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Got a big treat for you today. I have a world-renowned board-certified plastic surgeon, a surgeon for the stars and the athletes. And get this, he is the Florida Panthers NHL team doctor who right now is on another one to potentially win 2 Stanley Cup finals in a row. I have with me today, Dr. Gregory Albert. What's going on, buddy?
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, man. Heard so many great things about you and just read up on you a lot. And I love your ideology on a lot of different things as it pertains to athletes, as we say, as you say, tucks by day, pucks by night. I love the way you break down the different, I would say, methods of achievement between, the cosmetic versus the athlete, right? Because there's 2 different things. The athlete's very functional. You need to make sure when you're, doing a procedure, you leave some tissue there so he or she can recover properly and then be at the highest level possible. But before we get into all of that stuff,
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
audience that doesn't know you, can you just give a little brief description of who you are and what you're doing and, what it means for you to be doing all that?
Well, let's see. So where do we start? So I was born in New York. I was raised in California, Southern California. Then I went to medical school in New York. And then I went to residency in general surgery in Vermont. And then I was in St. Louis for 2 years of plastic surgery. And then the young age of 29, I became a plastic surgeon in a very uncompetitive area, South Florida. I started my own practice next to a hospital, and I did a lot of what you used to do, Sean. I was doing wound care and running around and helping reconstruct everything I could because I was available and there, and I wanted to learn and help people. And then about we'll back up a little bit. So about 4 years after being in practice, I got a phone call. Actually, my manager did. And they said, does Dr. Albert want to be a plastic surgeon for the Panthers? And I think she said, what Panthers? What's that? What team? What sport? and they said, so they honestly said, well, I'll tell Dr. Albert, but he doesn't know much about hockey. So I said, let's see. How bad could it be? I always want, as a doctor and growing up, I wanted to treat professional athletes. So it's so fortunate because I could treat athletes as a plastic surgeon, not have to be an orthopedic surgeon or a medical guy. So we joined there, and then practice now is in Boca Raton. We've had a couple different offices over the time, but this is the one. We're here. We love it here. Designed it for patients and the staff. Gotta have a happy staff.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
I love it. And, it's what you said there is, it was true because I did some reading. It was at the time of that phone call, you didn't know much about hockey, right? You didn't know what kind of value you could bring, but at the very root of it, there's a necessary value to having a, board certified plastic surgeon, especially on a hockey team, right? Typically for breathing, right? If something happens, cuts of that nature. So, how, and I always like stories like this because, as the show is called The Determined Society, and what we do within the platform and, in society in general is we may not know how to do something, but it is our responsibility to figure it out along the way. And I truly believe we're never really ready for the next level up or the next opportunity. So when you got that call and you decided to move forward with the Florida Panthers, how did you bridge that gap in order to feel, you were comfortable and competent on the ice and in that environment?
I listened to doctors that have been doing it, and the doctors, the training staff, we're part of the team too. We just don't wear the uniforms, but it's as simple as I learned from a young age. You seen and not heard. Sit on the bench, and when they need you, they need you. Because I'll tell you, I saw a few over my years. I've been doing this for 22 years. You're a little too eager to help and everything, and they kind of just get, they want to get you off your leg. So, when they want you. And you're on the bench until they need you. And then over time, you gain their trust. I used to talk to agents almost every time about, fixing someone's nose and saying there's a 2% improvement in his breathing, but that's just not 2%. That's important to him. So yeah, I get from 95%, to 99 to 100 if we can get your for breathing as far as that goes. So, it's been great to progress and kind of be part of the team, and with great ownership and great bunch of guys that they love to be doing their craft and hobby, just like us doctors in the locker room. We're talking about our craft and hockey at the same time. I don't think they're talking about medicine. They're just talking about hockey, but we're talking about both. So it's pretty cool.
I think what's really cool is I think that at some point in most young children's childhood, they dream of being on this big stage and winning a massive championship, right? You're in the backyard as a young boy, you're playing baseball. And, for me, I was acting like I was King Griffey Jr. or something like that. And you always see yourself winning that Little League World Series. Then you get older, it's World Series. And then, the Major League Baseball World Series. And, I don't know if it was like that for you, but what I think is really cool now that you're there. And like you said, you are a part of the team. You have a ring, right? You've been involved. Like that win is still your win. You may not be skating on the ice, but you're an integral part of that organization and that world championship, and hopefully another one coming. So has that? Oh, he's breaking it out. Look at that. Look at the Stanley Cup.
Can't do that. Can't do it. So that's a symbol of winning,
Oh,
and I learned.
Don't jinx it.
No, you could only. It's not the real one. It's only this.
Yeah.
The real one. It's only a celebration, and you have to win in order to hold it up. So I had learned that through being hockey, which is very deeply traditional and superstitious and everything, but history is amazing. So yeah, once I learned what it was 22 years ago, I said, I want to raise the Stanley Cup. And I'm fortunate that we did, because some teams do it and never get there. It's a little bit of luck, but a lot of talent and hard work. And it's been great. It translates, as you're saying before, it translates from my practice to treating the athletes, because I need to preserve and we need to make sure you function as well as possible. And so that's with every surgery. That should be within every surgery or plastic surgery, whether it be a nose to breathe better, your ears to look better, function better. You can actually hear better when your ears are in a better position. And other things, body, having the body right. So when you put clothes on, you look right. It's all function.
A lot of people say, the cosmetic aspect of it, whether someone does liposuction, tummy tuck, mommy makeover, Brazilian butt lift, whatever, that's cosmetic. But a lot of it, to be quite honest, is functionality. Because if the shape I'm in now, I'm more functional than I was in December, because I know at any point in time, I could go to my closet or my drawer and put anything on I want, and it's all going to fit and it's all going to look good. Now, yes, that's vanity. It's cosmetic, but isn't it also mental health as well? I mean, the better shape I get in, the more mentally stable I am, because I can regulate certain emotions, but also I feel more comfortable in society.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say, you touched on it eventually, but exactly when you're looking in the mirror and you like more of what you see than when you say, oh, I look terrible, I look tired. If you say it in the mirror, you're going to feel that way. So I tell every single patient that wants the comfort, whatever it may be, whether it was a small cosmetic thing that bothers them, no one else can see, to getting bullied for big noses, big ears. I mean, there's a lot of things in plastic surgery.
That was me. Like, as you can see, like these things right here, man. Like when I was in elementary school, it was, hey, can you fly? Can you, now it doesn't really happen anymore because we're all more mature. But to that point, man, it's like people get bullied and I got to share something with you since you mentioned that.
So I think, I have two daughters. One's 19, going to college in Georgia next year, and the other one is a year and a half younger. But I don't know if you could see this, but this was a note from my daughter at about 4 or 5 years of age.
Read it to me.
So, oh wait, there's that. I am so tired, but I need to see you and talk to you about something before I go to bed. And you notice on our picture, can you see the picture? The ears are the same size as the head.
Yes.
Okay.
I do see that.
That's how she drew her
sad face.
That's how she thought she was with the big ears. So we had talked about her ears before that. She knows what I did. I do. And she came to the office, and she would go to hockey games at the age of 6. So she pretty much knew everything about the profession. So she said, Daddy, can I get my ears done? I said, not until you're mature enough to follow the directions afterwards. Well, wouldn't you know it, about a year later, someone called her monkey ears. And there were other things so she came back and said, Dad, I want to do it. Cutest thing. We did over Thanksgiving break. She wrote a calendar down, countdown to surgery, and she had it done. And for this case, it's to fight bullying. It's to help self-esteem. And if the kids are old enough and you're mature enough to have the surgery, it's a great thing for self-esteem and combating bullying. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to bullying to do than just cosmetic surgery, but it certainly helps.
I don't disagree. Now, this is a daughter. She's going to Georgia next year to play golf, right?
Right.
That's really cool, man. What was that moment like? Because that's big time.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about adversity and delaying gratification. It took 20 years to do this, right? And a lot of years where we were sitting twiddling our thumbs in the locker room saying, what's going on here? So, delaying gratification, it's interesting. I don't know. When I look at my daughter, I think, well, maybe it's just something that's in her, because this generation they don't know what delaying gratification means, or even, because logically everything is there. You could see it happen. So I think the thing about her perseverance and her talents is that she's so mentally strong, and her place to be is on the golf course. That's where she could be herself, if you will. But but just so proud of her accomplishments because it took a lot of adversity and a lot of delayed gratification. She played since she was age of 6. I took her out to the golf course and she started swinging, and then we got our lesson. No, but before that, from the age of 2, she watched golf on TV. I'd leave the room, I'd come back, she's still watching golf. So she was always going to be an athlete because she loved it. She loved seeing, probably the hockey players play at a young age. And then so we went from there to we encouraged her, but we didn't push her. I just said, if you make a commitment to this, you need to fulfill a commitment. But then if you don't want to do it, you don't do it. So certainly I was encouraging her. But she loves it. She probably didn't win a tournament for several years. And then as she's getting better and frustrated and everything, she starts taking them on, and she made her goal. She just, she wrote a letter to herself in freshman year of high school saying, I want to be ranked in the top 100 nationally. And, I want a full scholarship and SEC. So she wound up getting all of it. But she had to delay gratification at adversity because she was accepted by another team, was all set on going there. And then like NCAA sports, a lot of the time, you might even have the experience yourself. The coach changes, things change, and the 1 year relationship moves. So the adversity was that at the junior year, she thought she had a spot already. Well, you sign in the senior year. So I think it was August. So 4 or 5 months before signing, that she found out she needed to look for another spot. And I thought I'd give her some pretty good dad advice at the time. She'll probably forget. But I said, you're gonna get a spot. This is what I've been talking about. You're gonna get it because you played, you persevered, and you deserve it. And if you're too frustrated or stressed out, it's not that important to you, then don't worry about the scholarship. And it worked out. She got just what she wanted. She's gonna be a bulldog, and she'll be playing a year next year. Maybe she'll be playing on TV like they're watching now. I think the girl's the last day
awesome.
there. Yeah. So D1.
It's awesome to me because you're talking about delayed gratification when you're an athlete or professional or even a surgeon. Like, there's delayed gratification everywhere, right? Because you always have that North Star, especially now, because you touched on it, because everything's right there in front of you with this generation. And in sports, everything is amplified, right? Because you have social media and the algorithms are telling you who the best players are, right? It's always in your face. And then when something like that happens to a young man or a young girl in high school and they lose their spot and got to go look here, that, all of a sudden, depending on the narrative they craft in their own mind, it could be the I'm not good enough, or here we go, this isn't good. But the things that I really love about, young athletes that do get it are they dive back into their process and worry about the controllables, right? It's like, am I going to wake up and eat well? Am I going to go to the gym? And am I going to work on my skill work? Am I going to get on the golf course? Am I going to work on my putts, right? Like those types of situations there, if you focus on those things, then that big thing takes care of itself. And, when I look at everything that I've gone through with my show, at the beginning, I was looking at that top of the mountain, right? And I'm looking up, I'm like, how in the hell am I ever going to get there? I don't have this. I don't have that. I can't do this because I don't have that. And finally, I shook myself loose and said, but I can do this and all these small micro movements daily in between that builds out the foundation. And then we can start on the framing of the house, right? Then we can, do the scaffold, then we can do the roof. And then now we have a house. But the thing is, through all that, my point and where I want the audience to really connect with this is, the real reward is not in the attainment of that big goal or the achievement. It is getting there and reflecting back on everything that it took.
I couldn't agree with you more. And the resiliency of of my daughter and that crowd of athletes and kids coming up. Because most of the ones that were beating her beforehand, and then she exceeded, her natural ability then mended with practice, determination. And those girls that were winning, then were losing, and now are not with it anymore because they couldn't make it. They didn't have enough. They couldn't see it. They couldn't see it like you were saying. So their delayed gratification is not for everybody. So I don't know. I was just thinking maybe. It's so difficult to delay gratification because how long is it going to be? And when you're a kid and you're 16, 17 years old, you don't have a spot yet at college, and it's only a year away. But it's like everything, right? So yeah, it could be damaging. So maybe we should go from dissuading them from certain things to then encouraging them earlier in their career, so they continue, because delaying gratification, it's tough, but I guess that's the reward at the end. How much do you want it?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point, man, because look, you're growing up in a generation or a society that everything's at the tip of their fingers.
Yeah.
They want food, Uber Eats. They need a ride, Uber Teens. It doesn't matter. They want to go shopping, Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
You push a button and you have utopia sitting at your front door within 24 hours.
And you don't even know what it is. But that's the problem. I mean, that's the single problem, the single most difficult problem with kids raising them is the phone. It's phone and technology and exposure, but not understanding what, how it correlates with life, if you will, or the grand scheme of things, because they see it and they want it, or they think it's attainable right then and there. But
yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
My daughters are amazing, and my wife is amazing. My other daughter's amazing for different types of things. So,
are you open to talk about that on the show? Or
yeah,
I would love to talk about that. Yeah,
yeah. So, you're talking about the other daughter Morgan, or my wife? No,
Morgan. Your younger daughter. Yes, sir.
So Morgan,
you can talk about your wife too. We're open here.
I was kidding. So Morgan's a year and a half younger. She's severely autistic. She is in, I think 10th or 11th grade. We kind of lose count because she's the same functioning for the last 6 or 7 years, let's say. But she is the sweetest, gentlest thing 98% of the time. And can communicate. She can't talk. She can say things when she's kind of, after she's had some speech therapy. But she will, what she wants when she's happy. She'll open her eyes to say yes, or she'll bring you over to something. And it's interesting that I have kids on both ends of the spectrum, if you will, because Gabrielle is gifted academically as well as with golf. Or I think just the golf would get her there, and then Morgan's on the bottom. So we deal both with special needs, and it's challenging, different. Obviously, they require different types of attention, if you will, both stories are still being written, and let's see where we get with Morgan, who is doing therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and she just got on Medicaid, that's a whole nother problem and mess. Thank God I know a little bit about medicine, or it would be impossible. It's
right.
Bad. It's very difficult.
What about the other 2%? Right. So she's, like you said, because like that 2% can also feel like a lot. And I want to give you some background first, because when I was first 5 years teaching, I was working in autism units. Like that's the type of students and children I worked with. So yeah, I have a special affinity for those children. And also 1 year I worked with the profound unit. So it was everything. It was everything from behavioral to autism to Down syndrome. And, I wasn't making a whole lot of money, but at the same time, man, you know what? Going to work every day, like I knew that those children appreciated me and what I brought to them. Right. So I do have background in this. So I can picture what you're speaking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can see in their face that, it sounds corny, a smile. But it says it all.
That's everything.
Yeah. You just tell, even though she can't talk, she can communicate.
And that means a lot for you and Lana, right? It's like when she communicates or shows that expressive nature physically, that like I see your face lighting up right now, right?
Yeah.
Because you're picturing it. It's like people don't understand that could be so few and far between. Those are big wins, man.
Yeah. I was smiling also because I was thinking of my other daughter, and from a father aspect, it's one daughter seeing what you do to the other one. Neither one can comprehend or appreciate fully without being a little jealous or whatever you want it to be, because we treat them differently. But we can't. Most of the kid all your kids the same, right? It's impossible. You can't do that. I can't take Morgan to a driving range or the opera. She's not going to sit still. Or I can't take her when I teach plastic surgery in Russia. So yeah, we try to treat them the same, but this is a situation what do you do? That's parenting, adapting, I guess.
Well, I think, to your point though, Doc, is even if the situation wasn't having two children on opposite ends of that spectrum, right? Even if they were all in the same wavelength, you're still never going to treat every single one of your kids the same. No matter what, they have different personalities, they have different sense of humors, they have different interests, they have different needs. And the one thing that I've learned as a parent, we have 3 children, an 11-year-old son, 8-year-old daughter, and 6-year-old daughter. Like each one of them has different needs. My daughters, my 8 and 6-year-old, are much more needy than my 11-year-old son. But I know when he demands my attention and needs something from me, like I'm there because he doesn't ask it much, right? So to your point, it's a balance for parents. So like kudos to you and Lana, because you're managing that and you're being great parents to both of them. You have your own practice and the Florida Panthers at night, right? So that's a lot. Man, it is. How important and instrumental has Lana been in supporting you in this and helping out and you guys working together to make sure that all of this, I don't want to say run smoothly because it's never smooth, but
well, think about it.
Manageable.
Think about this. She comes and runs the show here, and which is and does whatever it takes. She did, and from mopping the floors to calling Donald for a tea time. No. She goes home and she has to, she usually cooks a meal at night after we come home, she's an unbelievable cook, but she manages all of Morgan's medical stuff. So and now Gabriella's college stuff, but that's, way less, needy than the other one. We have a whole army of people at home that we get that 80% coverage. So we don't have help on the Saturdays sometimes, and sometimes Sundays. And if we have a hockey game that's late, they can't go if we don't have someone. So she coordinates all that as well. So that's a whole nother job. So yeah,
it's amazing. I'm always impressed by my wife's ability, because I think women, dude, see things differently than we do. We think, oh, we have this opening. I can do that. And they're like, well, no, because of this mathematical equation over here, and you're over here and you put these two together, that won't work. I'm like, dude, she's right. Oh my God, they see things differently. And so to have rock stars like that, as the backbone for us that are, moving and shaking and trying to do everything possible, it's important, man. And it's something that, I think at times I take for granted, but what I'm learning as I get older, I'm just learning now to look at my wife and go, I may be frustrated right now. I'm thinking this in my mind, but you know what? It's a 98% possibility she's right. Like, let's just, unless it's something extremely fundamental that I feel very strongly about.
Well trained. So no, I was going to say, I mean, I didn't finish by saying I could do the surgery without her. I could do the technical part without her, because I don't want anybody to think that I can't do surgery without my wife. But I can't do it without my wife. I couldn't do it here. We complement. We're a team. We're a team here. We're and sometimes I don't see her during the day. She's not in the OR. So if I'm in surgery for 9 hours in the day and she's out in the office seeing patients or talking to patients, or doing cooking something, or taking Gabrielle to a golf lesson, or Morgan to a doctor's appointment, she's here, and she's amazing.
Really, that's a great point, because my wife helps out with. My wife's a teacher, right? But she also, in between her classes, she's on team calls with me and my partners and our team. She's collaborating with with some partners and creating different things in the evening. And then when summer comes around, she's fully infused in the business. And there's no way I could do a lot of this stuff without her. And to your point, yes, I don't need my wife to do this. This is my gift. This is my skill. Like, this is what I've crafted. But all the other stuff I can't do without her. I can't do without my production team and my partners in my business. Like, I need everybody to fulfill their role exceptionally so I can do my job better. And that's just kind of what you're explaining. I think every successful practice, every successful business has those fundamental necessities behind the scenes, right?
I think you genuinely have to like what you do to some degree to be successful. And then it's the people that you surround yourselves with are going to be family. And I equate it to a baseball team or a hockey team. We're a team. Someone answers the phone, then they pass the phone to another employee, possibly there's so many, they have to get to first to do this. A second and a home run is a patient that, is optimized. So we work that in. And someone just pointed out yesterday, we spend more time with people at work than we do with our family sometimes. Although I work there, or I work for her.
You're probably right. The thing that I find interesting about that statement you made, right? You're talking about a team doing their part. Everybody has a role, whether it's an office environment, surgical environment, team environment, show environment. Everybody has a role, and there is not one role that is less than the other one. Everything has to work together, and everybody has to be exceptional and have a standard with what they're doing, because it means something. For instance, some people are listening right now and saying like, well, what's it matter what the person answers the phone is like? They're everything. That's a director of first impressions. If I've been, the East Coast and I'm looking to have work done, or my wife's looking to have work done, and they have a bad experience with the person that answers the phone, cosmetic surgery is a very intimate thing. They're gone, they're moving on, and probably missing out on one of the best cosmetic surgeons on the planet because of the first impression.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the phone part. And then to amplify it, yes, everybody, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And to your point, if the phone has to be optimal, patients are scared, nervous, ashamed when they call. So they have to be reassured. So I take a lot of pride. And one of the most important things I ask the staff is to make a connection with who's on the other side of the phone, because they're calling with a problem that they have that's bothering them. I'll bring up the example of the gynecomastia patients. And the other, or it could be a girl with a nose that, she gets bullied. The bullying procedures, ears, gynecomastia, which is breast in men. You could just say, large breasts that make it difficult for girls in their teens to wear normal clothes and not be made fun of. Anyway, in particular, the gynecomastia patients, they drive themselves they'll have in the day, this is how old we are, or I am, they would bring a newspaper article in because we would put it in the newspaper because guys didn't know there was a treatment for gynecomastia. Yes, I'm talking 20 years ago. They would bring it in, or they would tell me, you know what, I called, I made it to the parking lot, I drove around, but I couldn't grab the nerve to come in.
Rinse takes your laundry and hand delivers it to your door, expertly cleaned and folded. So you could take the time once spent folding and sorting and waiting to finally pursue a whole new version of you. Like Tea Time You. Or this Tea Time You. Or even this Tea Time You.
So did you hear about Dave?
Or even Tea Time You.
So update on Dave.
It's up to you. We'll take the laundry. Rinse. It's time to be great.
So I tell employees once in a while when, we need a rah-rah, like we're really doing this and the patients need your respect and trust. And they do. I'd like to say that it rubs our caring and empathy rubs off on our employees.
I think that's great, right? Because it's, if you have that environment in our office, then you can help people that really need it and they can feel safe there. Because again, like I said, it's an intimate situation, right? What is, if you could pick one thing that you enjoy most about what you do, what would that be and why?
I like plastic surgery because it gets people back to the optimal self, whether it be an athlete that breathes a little bit better after they broke their nose and they didn't even know they could breathe better, or a poor woman who had a surgery that wasn't, up to her expectations, and she's got a body that she's worse off now than she was. So fixing that type of thing is even better. And then of course it's a bullying procedure. So with the bullying procedures, the guys and girls that come in, they look in the mirror and when they see the result, they're crying. Be happy. And so I can't say I have a favorite, but but I could tell you, I've seen emotions that I never expected, to be blessed with, having great results and patients, showing it and saying it. So.
Yeah, it's important because like everything you're saying is, your favorite parts about those two things are how it makes somebody else feel. And I think that when you look at society in general right now, there's not enough outward focus on, how we show up as an individual can truly impact somebody else's day. You could, have an interaction at the grocery store, right? And you can walk in there and let's say a cashier messes something up or is going too slow and you bite back at them. To you forget about that when you get in the car or after you call your friend, like, listen to this stuff, right? This, person made me late. Well, that little interaction there could be the thing that pushes them over the edge for them to have the worst day they could ever have in their life. And we don't pay enough attention to that. So your answer, I absolutely love because again, focusing on how it makes somebody else feel emotionally.
Yeah. I think you hit on the head. I think it's important this day. We gotta rally as a team and treat other people with respect and the way we'd like to be treated. Whether you're at work or you're at the hockey game or driving to work, it's better. It's easier to be nice. And baby. I mean, my daughter Morgan looks fairly normal, if you will, and she might look a little different, but maybe to someone she looks completely normal. So in that certain sense, you don't know. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. There's all the stuff that's underneath it. So if someone looks normal or average, whatever it is, and they act like they're low functioning, that's worse. Is that better than the other way around? I mean, you gotta treat everybody the same way. So don't think about the iceberg. Think about everything else that comes down to it. And when you think about everything else, we're all the same.
That's a good lesson for listen, I want the audience to really think about that, right? Because you mentioned the iceberg. And underneath that iceberg, there's a lot going on. And think of the tip of the iceberg as people, right? And there's a lot going on underneath, right? So we need to be super careful when we're dealing with people out in public or even with our spouses, because we don't know what the ticking time bombs are. We don't know what these people are dealing with emotionally, financially, or even spiritually, right? So it's like, when we are approaching, for you as patients and, your athletes, and for me as guests or whomever, it's like, have some damn empathy, man. Like, someone could be having the worst day of their life and you're over here worried about one thing. Like, give me a break, right? Like, come on, don't take it so seriously. So I just think, man, that was a good point, because, that's not happening enough.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's so easy to approach it empathetically too, because you're to win every time. The other person's gonna feel better, and if they don't, then you feel like you did your best to try and make it work. So I have so 4 qualities I look for employees, and I think the one kind of is difficult with the iceberg, and like to accept what's in the iceberg when you have certain qualities that aren't met. So the first one is likable. If a person's likable, then it's easy. You don't really need to know what's underneath the iceberg. And there's givers and there's takers. You don't necessarily know that, and but a taker, it's really difficult to coexist with if they're always taken. Passionate, they have to be passionate for sure. And then communication is too obvious, but without communication, all the other things don't happen. You don't know. So it's all about being good for society, like you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Look, it's I think it's just being aware, right? We need to be aware, and just kind of be open to the fact that we don't have all the information and we shouldn't be jumping to conclusions. Let's start at curious and let's see how we can bridge the gap, because I want my day to be, good. I don't want any moments I'm going to look back and regret on. And surely that other person doesn't either. So, look, man, I truly, I've enjoyed speaking with you because, I've dealt with a lot of surgeons, right? A lot of them are not, I don't want to say a lot of them, but some of them aren't focused on the aspects of, I guess, I don't want to say achievement, but satisfaction that you are. And it's nice to see. I've been you went to school for general surgery. I've been in the OR with some general surgeons, and that's a journey, buddy. That is sometimes it's like the worst heckling environment you've ever seen. It's just like, I've had general surgeons verbally assault me for no reason because, just because they can get angry. Right. They always
support you. They didn't know you. They didn't know you. Yeah. They didn't know you, that you were not only a great salesperson, but you actually cared. You probably just saw your dollar signs. Terrible.
Yeah. Oh, here's a red cap coming in, wants to sell me some stuff. I get that too. Yeah. But man, just thank you so much for coming on, talking about what you do with the Panthers, and congratulations on 2024 Stanley Cup. And, I hope to be able to shoot you a text in a couple weeks to say, hey, congrats on number 2 in a row. Thank you for sharing things about both of your daughters. You have 2 special daughters, and they're both great. And your wife is a backbone and doing so many things. So the audience really got to hear some amazing things about your life. And so for that, I thank you. One final question before we land the plane. The show's called The Determined Society. What does true determination mean to you?
When you could look in the mirror and you could be happy with what you have done for yourself, I think is and I think if you live by that, you'll be happy from within, and you'll generally expand, happiness around, and better good than not.
Hey, I like it. All right, guys. Well, listen, you heard it from Dr. Albert, thank you so much again. For those of you that are watching this show or listen to the show, please share this show with somebody that you know, love, and trust that will get a ton out of hearing his story, hearing everything going on in his life. And the one thing that I want you to take away from today, guys, is we need to be outwardly focused on other people and give back to the world to make other people's lives better. Because at the end of the day, if we can do that, just one interaction at a time, then we can create what we call that ripple effect. And we can infect somebody else with empathy and kindness. And that could spread a wildfire of care, empathy, and kindness throughout the world. And that's what the world needs right now. So thank you so much, guys. Until next time, stay determined.
Sharp French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put it in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time, I confirmed it. A whole society determined success.
Next up is a little song from CarMax about selling a car your way.
You wanna sell those wheels, you wanna get a CarMax instant offer.
So fast.
Wanna take a sec to think about it.
Or like a month?
Wanna keep tabs on that instant offer.
With Offer Watch.
Wanna have CarMax pick it up from your driveway.
So, wanna drive? CarMax. Pickup not available everywhere. Restrictions and fee may apply.